This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store Forged Irish Stout. Delighted to be joined with Andy Clarke. We've just commenced a nice night of fights at the Brentwood Centre here, another top tier show. Obviously you was on comms. Enjoyed what you saw right there?
Yeah, I did. It's the first one I've been to. I've been meaning to come down and do some commentary for Johnny Clarke for a bit, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a good setup, isn't it? You know, you look at the ring walks, and you look at the way the arena is set out, and all the rest of it. And good fights too. Sorts of good fighters. Konstantin Ursu looks like there are possibilities there, aren't there? Definitely.
For sure, as I think one fight I definitely wanted to highlight was Stelios Papadopoulos against Ben Crocker. I mean, a real fight of two halves that caught fire right towards the end, and definitely one that was thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, it was, and it was, one of them was 15-0-2, so undefeated. The other was 12-0. Neither one had really boxed anyone. Their careers have been a bit frustrating. They both felt capable of taking that next step, so a perfect fight for both of them. And there was no loser there really, because even though he lost it by a point there, Papadopoulos, he'll be saying, well, if it was 10 rounds, I'd have won, because the way it must have been scored would have been the first 4 rounds to Crocker plus a knockdown, the second 4 rounds to Papadopoulos, so Crocker by a point. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I definitely want to watch that one again.
Aside of sort of, suppose the main event and that fight, was there anyone else who really caught your eye, who put in good performances?
Louise Orton's a good fighter, and she's been a good fighter she's always been a good fighter. I'd really love to see her just box regularly, get some momentum going, because you can see that she really knows what she's doing.
Absolutely, for sure. I suppose we are on a little bit pushed for time, so we'll move on quite quickly. Some news came out. TalkSport done an interview today with Anthony Joshua. He gave his sort of various opinions, but he did give us a potential date of when we could see him next. September 20th, either 21st. Ideally, that could potentially be Wembley Stadium. He spoke about, 4 different names. So the winner of Wilder Zhang or the winner of Hrgovic Dubois. Exciting times for Anthony Joshua with potential big fights on the horizon for him.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting development on the Saudi front, isn't it? If they're happy to basically promote and fund the show in the UK. They're doing one in America in early August. So I'd heard, we all had, hadn't we, that this was going to happen. And if it does happen, then it's big. That's big news. That's big news if they're prepared to bring that operation over here. And brilliant to see him back in the UK, because that's where we want him. We got spoiled with 4 stadium fights in a row, but that's a long time ago now. Any of them would suit me. He's kind of ruled out the winner of Fury Usyk there, hasn't he? So I think politically he has to. Maybe he still feels like that could happen and that they wouldn't have the immediate rematch. But I think everybody's agreed to play by the rules, which is that we all agree that is going to happen. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Is there anyone out of them 4 names? Wilder would be the obvious one, bearing that he gets through Zhang. But is there anyone, maybe even a Daniel Dubois fight? We know the history between the two. That maybe that ideally, if you're looking at a stadium, that fight would be perfect for it.
Yeah, I think, from a marketing point of view, if Dubois beats Hrgovic, then Dubois is legitimately up towards the top of the heavyweight division, and nobody could argue about that. So if he can get that win, then that's what I would want to see myself. The Wilder fight, he might beat Zhang, Deontay Wilder, he might not. I just feel like that's kind of gone now. If he'd won before Christmas and they'd done it in March, perfect. But I just feel like now you're just kind of, it's lost that kind of vavavoom, hasn't it, off the back of that. I don't know why it has necessarily, but it just has.
I suppose just a final one from myself. When you see the Saudi investment going outside of Saudi Arabia, we see that card in August 3rd with Crawford Madrimov, and that's a highlight of so many good fights on that card. And we see what could happen in September in England. How exciting is it that you see sort of the investment outside of Saudi, I guess? Is it a good thing, you say?
Yeah, I think it is, because I know the worries that people have is that basically all the big fights will end up in Saudi Arabia, and some of the not so big fights to fill out cards will end up in Saudi Arabia, and British fights that we should see here will end up over there. But if they're going to bring shows here, then I think it's great for the domestic scene, because if you're a domestic promoter, and I know in a sense there's no such thing anymore, but you can concentrate on your domestic schedule, you know, and don't necessarily have to pull your hair out when it comes to making mega fights or trying to kind of manufacture pay-per-views that aren't really pay-per-views. If we've got this other possibility where broadcasters can all share them, because with Fury, Usyk, DAZN, TNT and Sky, we're all doing it, so everybody wins. And if that continues to be the case with those kinds of things, then it just means that, yeah, you don't have to, you know, you can just relax a little bit when it comes to pay-per-view, because it's this thing we have in boxing that other sports don't have. And I understand why everybody's really keen to get pay-per-views away, but at the same time, nothing goes down worse with boxing fans, does it, with all of us, than seeing that a card's pay-per-view when you just think, it's not a pay-per-view card, you know.
Absolutely, for sure. Andy, just want to say thank you for taking time to speak to me. Appreciate it. I know you've done a long stint on commentary today, so I do appreciate the time, mate. Top man, thank you.